Welcome to Village in Motion, Tuesday, September 15th. This morning on Village in Motion, we have a special guest in the form of Karen Boyce, who is the director of Garden Ridge, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about, first of all, the resident satisfaction survey that I hope all of you have already received out of your cubbies and begun to fill out and get back in the mail to Holleran Associates, and talk a little bit about Garden Ridge and then a few other things here. Welcome, Karen. We're glad to have you.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to our audience out there. It's a wonderful day, isn't it?
It is. It's a gorgeous day.
Morning. It is.
There's some things going on with resident satisfaction survey, right?
Yes, there is. Believe it or not, it is that time of year again, as all of our residents are aware. And like independent living, the residents of Garden Ridge also get to participate in the resident satisfaction survey. For us, though, for the residents of Garden Ridge and their loved ones or their family members, it is done via the phone and the internet.
Oh, okay.
So it's unlike independent living, where it's a hard copy paper that you fill out. Garden Ridge is a phone conversation and internet. What we do to get the residents ready for the survey, because as we know, or most of our audience may know, everyone in Garden Ridge may not be able to do the survey for themselves.
Right.
However, their feedback or their family member feedback is equally as important.
Correct.
So what we have done is usually the social work team, along with the nursing team, they identify the residents who are able to take the survey for themselves.
Oh, so some of the residents then are able to do a hard copy?
Absolutely, they're able to do the survey themselves. And of course, we want to maintain our residents' right. If you have the ability to do the survey, then why not?
Right.
We allow you to do the survey. And then for those residents who cannot do the survey, we identify their family member or their loved one who will then take the survey on their behalf.
Oh, superb, superb.
So that is the process.
Do we get as many returns or more returns or less returns of the survey from Garden Ridge as we do from independent living?
We do a fair amount. Last year we were in the upper 70s, I believe, into the 80s, if memory served me correctly, in terms of participation.
Okay.
And so we do work diligently as well, because as you know, like independent living, we want to hear from everyone.
Right.
If things are going not so good, we definitely want to hear. But sometimes families in Garden Ridge or residents will say, well, everything is okay and there's no concern, I have no concern. That's okay too, but we would like to hear that as well on the survey.
Okay.
So we identify the residents who can take it and then those who cannot, and then we have the process. We send the data to Holleran. We send that information to Holleran. Holleran then are the ones who make the phone call to the resident or to the family member that says, can you answer these questions?
So Holleran makes a phone call. So again, no one at Garden Ridge knows how anybody responds, just like no one at Greenspring knows how anyone responds.
Absolutely. None of us at Garden Ridge know any of the responses from the resident.
Okay.
Very similar to independent living, because you do the paper copy, you put it in the envelope, you seal it, and off it goes to Holleran.
Exactly.
Well, for us, it's the same process. Instead of it going in an envelope, it's done over the phone.
Okay.
Or if they send the email, they'll send an email to the family. So what we have to do ahead of time is we collect the family member's email address information, and we send it to Holleran.
Okay.
And so then Holleran will send them an email and say, here's the survey. Please take a few minutes, fill it out, and send it back to us.
Oh, that's superb.
Yes.
That is great.
Yes.
Very good.
Modern technologies at work.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I would think that you would get a lot of comments from the family members. It's not just the fact of checking things off.
Absolutely.
But the comments, which are very, very important for independent living as well as for Garden Ridge.
It absolutely is. The same exact method of collecting data or mechanism is the same way. So on the independent survey, you can write in comments.
Right.
On the Garden Ridge survey, you can verbally give comments, and they type it in.
Right.
Or they fill it out when they do the online. Hollering staff members, they do not change anything. If you say it, whatever you say is exactly what they type in. They don't clean it up. They don't change any verbiage or any language or anything. They type it exactly the same way it's communicated.
And then that's all compiled.
Compiled.
Just like it's compiled with independent living.
Yes.
And then all of that comes back to Garden Ridge.
Yes.
And to independent living
Yes,
as well.
it comes back to the community. So when Ben gets the survey results, it's here is the survey for Greenspring, here is independent living, here is assisted living,
Right.
and here is skilled nursing.
That's right. They break it down.
So they break it down by assisted living and skilled nursing. And they will generally tell us here are the number of participants. So they know if they had, let's say, 100 folks they reached out to, did 100 people took the survey, or was it 75% or 80% or what? So they can tell us how many respondents they have. And we go for the same length of time as independent. I think it's about a month.
About a month. Independent living has until the 9th of October, if I remember.
We're about the same. We may go a little bit longer for stragglers, but we end around the same time as well.
Okay, very good. Yeah. And we hope everybody fills out their surveys.
And for independent living, of course, yesterday I was in town center passing out cookies, encouraging folks to do the survey.
Well, I was down at Village Square handing out cookies.
There you go.
Yeah, we're just very pleased that people are filling them out and getting that information.
Absolutely.
It's essential, folks. So if you haven't done it, sit down and do it.
Yes, and you know, for Gardner Ridge in particular, I always make the picture every year. If someone in independent living may have a loved one in Gardner Ridge, if their loved one cannot take the survey, then we'll reach out to that spouse if they're identified as the person who do it. So they might answer the question twice.
Yeah, right.
Because if I have a spouse in Gardner Ridge, I still have to do my independent survey, but then I might do it on behalf of my spouse if they're not able to take it for themselves.
Yeah. And I talked with a resident, just that situation occurred that I know. And he said, well, I've got this one, now I got to go get the one from Garden Ridge. So
same process, yes.
Very nice. So that takes care of the resident satisfaction survey, just an overview. I understand there's some things going on at Garden Ridge that are kind of innovative.
It is. And you know, every time I come on the show, I always say, we're always looking to improve upon how we do things, how we operate, how can we make the lives of the resident that much better. And so from feedback, not just from the survey last year, but just from feedback throughout the year, and in partnership with our health services committee or individual concerns that have bubbled up, we are innovating in state of Virginia. Not many nursing homes have something called an Omnicell.
An Omnicell.
An Omnicell.
Okay.
And what that is a secured storage box or device. It's a storage unit that you can put medication in, and that way when someone comes from the hospital, the medication for the most part is already in Garden Ridge ready to be dispensed.
Oh, okay.
Now we have a process in place already for that, and it's about 95% good. This Omnicell will more move us to 99%, 99.9% good, I would say. Because with the new Omnicell, it can store up to about 300 medications at once in the facility, and about 25 or so narcotics. So let's say you're being discharged from the hospital. We normally get the paperwork that says you're coming to Garden Ridge. Well, we need to make sure we get all your medication and have them ready, because when you come to Garden Ridge, you may need some medication. The hospital sometimes give it to you upon discharge, and there may be an hour or two or several hours that you can wait for the next dose. In some cases, the hospital does not give it to you, so when you come in, dispense the medication. Now, we still have to go through the process of getting the doctor to write the script, assess you. All of those pieces still has to be the same. But when the script is written, we still call neighbor care. They give us a code. We get into the cell, the Omnicell. We take the medication out, and we can give it to you.
Tremendous. So this is really a big storage device.
Yes.
Like a cabinet, a locked cabinet that's secured.
An extremely secure device. The neighbor care pharmacy regulators, they're going to come into Garden Ridge in the next week or so to assess the location of where the device is going to be, how secure it is, and all of those pieces before we can even put medication in it and begin using it.
So will there be one in each unit, each floor of Garden Ridge, or there'll just be one centralized
Just the one centralized one. It's going to be an EV to the second floor, the short-term rehab neighborhood. And we figure that's a good centralized location because, as you know, 99.9% of the residents that come to Garden Ridge, they go to Evergreen Terrace second floor for rehab, and then they're discharged back to independent living or back to wherever home is. So that's where most of the in and out of Garden Ridge takes place. So we figure that's a good location to put it on.
So the nursing staff will have to come from their unit to the device, or how will the medication get transmitted from the device to the unit?
So on that neighborhood, 95% will be on that neighborhood. The nursing staff will be right there already. Occasionally, let's say someone go to a long-term care neighborhood, a different neighborhood.
Right.
If it's a medication that's not already in the facility, then yes, I will just walk down a flight of steps, go there, get it out, and I go back.
Okay.
Unlike the process that we currently have, we would call neighbor care. There's a 4-hour window. We would wait for them to deliver it, and it comes. It usually does, depending on the driver and situation. Sometimes we have had some snafus along the way. This way puts more medication in the facility. So if all I have to do is a nurse is to go down one flight of step, there it is.
Okay.
There is no delay. So it will improve upon our systems and processes of making sure we're providing great care to our residents. So this is just one more piece of how we look at services, how we deliver services, and the director of nursing, Georgette, along with the nursing team, assessed it and said, you know what? We can bring one of those here. We made some modifications to where it's going to be, because it's a really tall refrigerator-looking device. Okay. So we had to create a space for it, which was there. But that's forward thinking. That's being able to say, you know what? I hear the residents. We assess what happens from time to time. If the driver is a little bit delayed, if something happens in getting the medication, the resident is discharged from the hospital, they're coming to Garden Ridge, we want to make sure that you get your medication and there's no delay. And
you really want to make sure you get it on time and in the proper sequence. So
absolutely.
So that you're not sitting there waiting for it for 30 additional minutes or hours or whatever.
Absolutely. And this would allow us to be able to do that, because our storage device right now may store about 10 or 15 medications or so in it, and very limited narcotics. So when you're talking about going from that quantity up to about 300, from maybe a handful of narcotics to up to like 24 or 25, that's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
So you have more choices. The doctors and the providers, if someone is in pain, they need morphine, Vicodin or something, which is a narcotic, they can then write the script, go through the process, but it's already on site. It's already on site.
So that really improves patient care.
It absolutely improves patient care. It absolutely does. And it goes back to what you and I were talking about, is that as we look at how we deliver care to residents, when residents bring concerns to us, we take them very seriously. And over the course of about a year, we have had, not a lot, but concerns have popped up here and there about, there was a little delay in me getting my meds, or the pharmacy had a hiccup, whatever. So this was one of those things that says, you know what? Let's look at that system and see what we can do better.
Good. And so what I'm hearing you say is you really have relied on patient feedback and resident feedback in regards to things.
Absolutely. Patient feedback is vital to us in terms of how we continue to deliver care.
And that ties back in with the resident satisfaction survey.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It ties right back into resident satisfaction, because the more we have feedback on the survey, the one resident, whether it's independent living or Garden Ridge, who sits there and says, well, I don't know if anyone listens to me. I don't know if my opinion matters. It absolutely does matter, because that might be your one, and your neighbor down the hall, his or her one, and the neighbor in the next building, his or her one, and before you know it, now you have 20 ones or 100 ones, and they all add up. But if your one was not a part of it, we don't know about it.
Exactly.
And it's the same principle for Garden Ridge. We need to hear about the feedback and the comments as well.
Exactly. With all of that, and we're talking about resident satisfaction survey, the tie-in, every January, February, after we get the results back from the survey, we have the resident feedback forums that we have, and we have it again this coming year in regards to that. And that's where you come up with your action plans and how to address those concerns.
Absolutely. We use the forum to get additional feedback. This is what you told us specifically on the survey. This is some of the things that we flushed out, and here are some action plans. For the forum, we also say give us a little bit more in-depth, you know, so we explore it. And it's a great meeting, because we engage with the audience. We get additional information from the audience. We hope that some of the folks who fill out the survey, they may raise the hand and say, I have some additional thoughts, or explain. So it's a great exchange. And what we do from that forum is we then take the information with our Health Services Committee,
Right.
which is led with Peggy Patterson and Barbara Hawkins.
Correct.
And the committee as a whole, we flushed, it's a working committee.
Yes.
So throughout the year, they keep us on, you know, here are the things we said we're going to do, and are we doing those things? And that's what we report back to the committee.
Good.
Yes.
And what you're saying is residents get several opportunities to really give feedback. I mean, in a formal basis, as well as just being able to informally give you feedback and give the staff feedback about what's going on.
Absolutely. No matter how we get the information, the key is to get the information.
Yes, right.
And I tell that to families and residents of Garden Ridge specifically, just like I do with independent living whenever a chance to talk to them. Get us the information. Talk to us, whether it's individually, whether it's officially on the Hollering survey, whether it's through any of the committees that we have across the entire community. Use those forums, use those mechanisms to share your thoughts, your ideas, your feedback with us, because we really do listen. The Omnicell for Garden Ridge is one of those examples that we do listen, and we figured out the process. It took a little time because we had to go through some special requirements, but it's being delivered by the end of the month. Yes.
Okay. What else is happening in Garden Ridge? We've got about 2 minutes left.
So 2 minutes, let's switch gears and talk about the Alzheimer's Walk.
Yeah, sounds like a good
Which
idea.
is coming up, and I think there's a flyer. They're going to put something on the screen. But let me get my little sticky notes.
Yeah, it's come up on the screen. The flyer's up.
It's September the 26th.
Okay.
It is the Reston Town Center. I think it's at 10 a.m. in the morning.
It is.
Hopefully it's going to be a gorgeous day.
We hope so.
Renee in Garden Ridge is the lead. Renee Budd in Garden Ridge. Or you can call the front desk of Garden Ridge and ask to speak to Renee Budd. She's the lead. She's the organizer. There will be transportation from Greenspring to Reston Sound Center and bring you back. Hopefully folks will come out and support us. We have T-shirts orders. We're partnering with Ashby Pond. So we have some fun things. I do it every year. We go out. And the group of us are there, staff and residents. We have a good time.
Good.
We have a great time. We take a lot of pictures. And then we get on the bus and come back.
Sounds like a good idea.
It's a good idea.
How long's the walk? What's the distance?
The walk, I think, is about, there's a short walk of about 1 mile.
Okay.
And there's a little bit longer walk of about 3 miles.
Okay.
So if someone would just like to do a short walk, a quick walk, they're fine. If someone said, no, I can't walk, I don't want to walk, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just come out and support. There are lots of other vendors there. You can pick up all sorts of little gizmos and gadgets and all the freebies that all the vendors are giving out. So it's just a good morning to get on the bus, go for a ride, celebrate, you know, have some fun, and come on back to Greenspring.
Sounds like a good idea.
It is. I encourage a large audience to come out.
Great. And I would encourage everybody to go ahead and write that date down. And it's, what's the date again?
September the 26th.
September 26th.
At 10 a.m.
All right.
Reston Town Center.
Okay. So they need to be over at Garden Ridge by what time?
I believe, let's say between 9:45, 9:30, but I have to check. I think the bus is going to pick up at different locations.
Okay, so they need to call
They need to connect with Renee Budd.
Okay.
Call Renee Budd.
Okay, and Renee Budd's phone number is either 923-3131, extension 604-4838, or you can just dial directly 604-4838.
And if anybody forget all of those numbers, just call Garden Ridge Front Desk and say, I want to participate in the Alzheimer's Walk, and we'll get them to Renee.
Sounds like a great idea.
Even if they can't remember the number, just call Garden Ridge Front Desk and say, I need some information about the Alzheimer's Walk, and we'll get them connected.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Anything else that you would like to leave us with, Karen?
No, just my thoughts on, please take some time to complete the resident satisfaction survey.
Okay.
We truly do value, all of us value the input from each of the residents.
Great. Well, we value your care and your concern about the residents, and we thank you very much for that. And thanks for coming on the show this morning. And folks, don't go away. We've got a little roll in here in regards to Karen Boyce, and then we're coming back and talking to our philanthropy director, Kimberly Nelson. We got a big show coming up around here on the 25th of September, so we're going to learn a little bit more about it in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Greenspring residents, your satisfaction matters to us. My name is Karen Boyce, and I am the director that's responsible for Garden Ridge. It's that time of year again where we ask you to please take a few minutes out of your busy day and complete the resident satisfaction survey. Your satisfaction, again, matters greatly to us. We would like to know from you, are we meeting your needs? Are we listening to you? Are we meeting your needs? Are we providing feedback to you? So again, please complete the survey. Take a few minutes. We would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.